Level 1, impenetrable, much like my virginity. Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and some of you may remember that a few videos ago I asked whether or not anybody out there could send me photographs of any kill team commanders that I didn't purchase myself so that I could cover them for the channel. Well, luckily for me and you, some people out there are incredibly nice. One of them I'd like to give a big shout out to Phil, who's one of the people that I met at the Warhammer World Kill Team event when I went there. And I'd also like to give a big shout out to Krzysztof Zarecki, who is Polish and I still can't pronounce his name. There aren't enough vowels in that word for me to pronounce it in English, unfortunately. And also a shout out to George. Thank you, you three, as you managed to send in all of the commander sprues that were released at the time. I went out and picked myself up the Genestealer Cults commander. However, I don't unfortunately have the Genestealer commander in this list. Before we get started, I'm going to be super helpful and give everybody timestamps in the description or possibly the pinned post that I'm going to make, because apparently that's what you have to do to get YouTube success. And if you just want to watch the rundown for the particular commander you're interested in, just jump to that. Click the link, it'll take you straight to the timestamp you need, and that's all you need to watch. Okay, let's have a look at the Genestealer Commander. So they went with an Acolyte Icon Ward, which for me was great because this was the only model of all of the commanders that I didn't have. So this actually made a good way for me to get it. But it's also by far, for me, the least exciting model. But whatever, this is what we get. We've all seen this before. Obviously, it's a nice model. Cool. And that's the backside of it. I like the colours. Don't know what else to say. Okay, so this is Kraska Matazek, obviously. For anyone that's unaware, the datasheet is just a standard datasheet for, straight out of the commander book. However, it will have fixed weapons and war gear, so you can't mix them around. However, this one does have +1 to wounds, and that's because of its special talent tree. I don't know what this is called, but I'm an MMORPG guy, so let's call it a talent tree. At level 1, he's 18 points, and he gets +1 to this model's wounds characteristic. More wounds are always good, can't complain. Level 2, 23 points. Fearless dedication. This model can never be shaken. That's not bad. Leadership of 8, okay. Level 3, 38 points. Scale the heights. And this is where it gets weird. So if this model climbs any distance vertically, up or down, when it makes a normal move, halve the distance moved in this way. E.g., climbing up a 4-inch wall counts as 2 inches of movement. This is like half fly. It's weird. Level 4, 58 points. Raise the standard high. If the vertical distance between this model and the surface of the battlefield, e.g. the game board, is greater than 1 inch, increase the range of this model's Sacred Cult banner ability to 12 inches. Now, I'm just going to say, I don't think that's, as a talent tree, I probably wouldn't pick it. It's not my thing. Once more, I genuinely believe that all of the unique commander talent trees that we have been given are not better than the standard commander talent trees. Yeah. But I'm okay with that, I'm just going to say. However, raise the standard high is interesting. This is a design space we haven't seen before, I believe. This is playing with verticality a bit. Fly obviously plays with verticality, but it's just ignore verticality. This is a genuine, hey, you want to be off the ground floor. You are doubly effective. And I actually really like that. And I'm going to say it, I'd really like to see that in the game more. Yeah, I think making terrain a valuable asset, as opposed to just obscuring your model, could be really interesting. Obviously, it does mean that certain boards have to be, whatever, but I just really like it as a concept. I still wouldn't take it. Okay, and our two unique new abilities Our Rabble Rouser. It's an aura tactic. At the start of the movement phase, they're on. As long as this model is not shaken, all friendly models within 6 inches of this model can use the Acolyte Icon Ward's leadership instead of their own. 1 command point. I think that's pretty good. When it comes to Genestealer Cults, you are, with your neophytes, you are likely to break. So, yeah. 1 CP, give everyone within 6 inches an extra leadership, pretty good. Unsettling Presence, 1 command point. It's another cult aura tactic, but this time it can be used by any commander, not just the Acolyte Icon Ward. Use it at the start of the battle round. As long as this model is not shaken, enemy models within 6 inches of this model have -1 leadership. So, I'm going to have to say, if I just went ahead and said that +1 leadership is good, logically, -1 leadership is also good. So, I'm not going to back down from that statement. Yes, that's good. Okay, now we have the Admech. This is Magos Dallar Thrust, which is, I'm going to be honest, I don't like the word thrust in his name. Just, yeah. There we go. It's a sprue. Any Admech players have almost certainly already got this model. There are lots of ways to get this model, so you've probably seen this already. So the thing to note with the Magos here is that there are different ways of kitting him out. Both all of them viable. That's the key there. There are some where there's no wargear options at all. There are some where there are wargear options, but really, who cares? You're going to go with the best way of building him or them. But this one, when it comes to the Tech Priest Dominus, there are different ways of building him, and they are all valid. This one says you get the Macro Stubber, the Volkite Blaster, the Omniscient Axe. Level 1, 130 points. Unblinking. When this model fires Overwatch, they successfully hit on a roll of a 5 or a 6. That's pretty good. But let's have a look, see how many shots he's going to get at you. Ooh, that's quite tasty. If you charge this guy, you're looking at, what, Pistol 5 and Heavy 3? You're looking at 8 shots, hitting on 5s. That's quite nice, actually. I've got to say, I am a fan of increasing Overwatch. Okay, level 2, 150 points. Loyal Adherence. When you fail a saving throw for this model, if there is another model from your kill team within 2 inches of it, excluding shaken models, you roll a d6 on a 2 plus the damage is inflicted on that model instead of this model. So that's kind of like the Savior Protocols from Tau there. And the whatever it's called, the bodyguard rule, unquestioning loyalty, I think, from Genestealer Cults. I'm not that big a fan of it because 150 points, you don't have a model to spare. So I'm kind of against it. Yeah. Level 370 points, Forbidden Tech. Add 1 to the damage characteristics of this model's ranged weapons. Let's have a look. That's tasty. I like that. Okay, very nice. Very nice. Level 495 points, all part of the plan. You can add or subtract 1 from any roll made to determine whether or not the mission ends, regardless of which player is making the roll. That's fine. I don't feel it's worth 25 points. I've got to say, actually, this is a tough one. I think purely for the level 3 there, he might actually be worth it as a commander. Having said that, I don't think this is an auto take. If you're building him in a specific way, this is a valid build. However, I don't think it's an auto take, and that means I'm totally okay with it. Okay, our special tactics here are Auto Repair Protocols 1 CP. Adeptus Mechanicus tactic. Use this tactic at the beginning of the battle round. If your kill team includes a commander that is not shaken, they recover 1 lost wound early, or 1 wound lost early in the battle. Obviously, the Tech Priest Dominus is already also regenerating wounds. I think he regens D3 a turn. This is just get an extra 1 for a CP. Very nice. Very nice. He's going to be an absolute bastard to take down, especially if you've made him a Fortitude specialist. It's going to be... Oh. And then we get Xenotech Divination for 2 command points. Interestingly, as far as I can tell so far, this is the only command expansion that hasn't given us one of the two extras being an aura, which is interesting. So this is for the Tech Priest Dominus only. Use this tactic at the end of a mission in which any of your opponents used any models that did not have the Imperium or Chaos keyword. Okay, interesting. If your kill team includes a Tech Priest Dominus, that is not out of action or shaken, right? I obviously read that sentence terribly, but bear with me. If you do, roll a d6. On a 5-up, you gain 1 material. You can only use this tactic once per mission. That's quite nice, actually. I mean, it's entirely optional. Yes, it's only relevant to campaign, but yeah, cool. And we go over to the Drukhari, the Dark Eldar, I can't think of any other names. What are they called? Yeah, the bad guys. The bad Eldar, the goth, posh English guys. Yep. And Visa, Caravaxis, of course. On a side note, I quite like that their cards are broken hearts. They look nice. Very emo, very on brand. Good job, Dark Elder. And that is, yeah, I mean, that's the Succubus model. Cool, it's a nice model. Not much else to say. The artwork's lovely. So, with this particular Succubus, you have to take an Agonizer and an Archite Glaive. That's fair enough. You still get everything else. At level 1, you're 48 points, and you are dancing with death. Add 1 to this model's attacks characteristic for each flesh wound it has suffered. Nah. I'm not up for that. If that was for each wound suffered, yes, I'd be there. Count me in. For each flesh wound suffered, that's pretty meh, I've got to be honest. Level 2, 63 points, back from the dead. You can reroll casualty rolls for this model. I mean, yes, that is good, obviously. However, is that better than any level 2 tactic from your from the standard commander rulebook? Not tactic, sorry. Speciality tree? I don't feel so. Level 3, 78 points. Gladiatrix. Roll a d6 each time you use the Duel of Honor commander tactic on this model. On a 2+, you gain a CP. Oh dear. So it costs you a CP to use Duel of Honor, and on a 2-up you get it back. So okay, yep. It's good from the perspective that you're a succubus. Your role is assassin. You are going to probably be using Duel of Honor, but are you? I can't remember what Duel of Honor does, but isn't it that you get rerolls against an enemy commander? But you're already hitting on 2s. Who cares? Anyway, level 4, 103 points, Talent Scout. If this model is in your kill team and not out of action after all casualty rolls have been made after a mission, and it's quite likely that she will still be in your team because you have her level 2 skill back from the dead, roll a d6 for each enemy specialist this model took out of action in that mission. If you roll a 5+ on any of the dice, you gain 1 morale. What a letdown after naming that Talent Scout and talking about enemy specialists, and the ability isn't you can use that specialist, the enemy specialist, in your team next turn. Like, oh, I was about to, well, I shan't say, but let me tell you, I was excited. So, a quick rundown of this. No, that is a bad card. Okay, Acrobatic Leap for 1 CP. Succubus only. Use this tactic when you choose a succubus from your kill team to move in the movement phase. For the duration of the phase, that model can move as if it could fly. Not bad. 1 CP, can't argue. Cool, it's good. Dark Majesty 1 CP, Drukhari Aura tactic. Any commander used at the start of the battle round. As long as this model is not shaken, models from your kill team within 6 inches of this model ignore the penalty to their hit rolls from 1 flesh wound they have suffered. Situationally useful like most tactics are. There you go. I don't have much more to say about it. It's not blowing me away, but okay. The almighty Deathwatch, the one and only Watchmaster who doesn't know how to be a big boy Primaris Marine. He's a shorty. Okay, Gaius Acastian. Oh, so I actually have this model. It looks awesome. I'm just going to say, I really like it. I love the pose. I love the overwatching stance he has. I think it's a really good model. Unsurprisingly, you have a Guardian Spear, frag crack grenades, cool. Scion of Guilliman, level 1, 125 points. This model can still shoot in a turn in which it falls back, but if it does so, you must subtract 1 from hit rolls for its attacks in the shooting phase. Let's take a look. You're hitting on 3s in that case. Oh, and how many shots? Rapid fire 1. Ew. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's really useful. Level 2, 145 points, Instinctive Strategist. As long as this model is on the battlefield and not shaken, roll a d6 each time an opponent uses a tactic. On a 5-up, you gain command point. Yep, cool. It's good. That's the same as I think, is it a tier 3 or a tier 3 strategist? Or it's either a tier 2 or a tier 3 strategist tactic. Not tactic, that's the wrong word, but you know what I mean, specialism. Level 365 points, Lead by Example. If this model takes an enemy out of action, then subtract 1 from the command point cost of this model's Master of Battle or a tactic to a minimum of 0 in the following battle round for the duration of that battle round. Yeah, the more you kill with him, the more powerful, theoretically, he becomes. Nice and themey. Worth it? Probably not, but okay. Level 490 points, Artisan Weapon. Increase the damage characteristic of this model's Guardian Spear, melee, to 3. It's normally D3. Oh, okay. Alright. This is a tough model to really recommend because it's so high in points cost. I mean, 6 wounds, but he's only toughness 4. It's tough. These aren't inherently bad. I think some of them are okay. But I'm actually just against this commander in general. I love the model, love the theme. He's too many points. That's my view. That's my view. And a commander with this many points, you probably want to go Fortitude just so that he can't be one-shot by some incredibly annoying Eldar Autarch with a blaster pistol who's just going to wreck your day in one shot. And then the command point Tactics. Still your mind's 1 CP. This is Watchmaster only, it's an orator. Use this tactic at the start of the movement phase. As long as this model is not shaken, all friendly models within 6 inches of this model ignore the penalty to the hit rolls from all flesh wounds they have suffered. So, of course, any model you have in this team does have transhuman physiology, which means you are instantly ignoring the first flesh wound. So you have to survive 2 woundings, flesh woundings, for this to be a thing. It's pretty niche. I'll give it that. Vigilance Incarnate 1 CP. It's an aura tactic for any commander within the Deathwatch. Use it at the start of the battle round. As long as this model is not shaken, roll a d6 whenever a model from your kill team within 3 inches of this model loses a wound. On a 6, that wound is not lost. If a model already has an ability with a similar effect, such as Armor Contempt against mortal wounds, you can choose which effect applies and reroll 1s when making these rolls. What does Glass Half Dead always say? He says, if your plan is to roll 6s, you don't have a plan. Of course, this isn't really a plan. This is, tactics aren't plans. They're situational occurrences. So it's fine. And here we have the, who are they? Imperial Army Guard? And here we have the Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, and it's Fyodor Lasko, Commissar. One of the older models for the commanders, I believe. He looks good, obviously. It's a good model. However, it is one of the older ones. There you go, 2013. Just saying. Fyodor Lasko here, we are stuck with a plasma pistol and power sword. Not bad. I mean, that's probably what you would have kitted him out with anyway. Level 1, 15 points. True Grit. Add 1 to this model's toughness characteristic, putting him at T4. He's normally T3. Jesus Christ. Okay. Level 2, 20 points. Skilled Swordsman. Reroll unmodified hit and wound rolls of 1 for this model in the fight phase. So he's hitting on 3s normally. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. Level 3, 35 points. Grav Shoot. This model never suffers falling damage, never falls on another model. Yep, we know the rest of that. I don't really rate that hugely, but okay. Level 4, 55 points. I've had worse. Roll a d6 each time this model loses a wound on a 5+, that wound is not lost. If a model already has an ability with a similar effect, choose which applies. So actually, that's not terrible. And that's for each time a model loses a wound. So potentially, you're actually pretty tough there. Pretty tough to take down. However, for me personally, when it comes to Imperial Guard, if I were to run one, your commander is so weak, if you will, you don't really want to be boosting him up. You want a commander that aids the rest of your team. And taking this, you are boosting this one commander up. You're not doing anything for the rest of your team. I feel you really want to go with leadership or strategist. I mean, that's how I feel Imperial Guard should be played when it comes to their commander. But I've never played them, so I'm probably wrong. You decide. Bellowing Voice 1CP, Astra Militarum, tactic for any commander. Use it at the start of the battle round. Until the end of the battle round, increase the range of that model's aura abilities by 3 inches. That's a nice one. Exactly what I was talking about before. That directly helps the rest of your team. I am your worst fear! Exclamation mark. 1 CP. This is for the Lord Commissar / Lord Commissar. No, sorry, Commissar / Lord Commissar. Use it at the start of the movement phase. As long as this model is not shaken, all friendly models within 6 inches of this model ignore the penalty to their hit rolls from 1 flesh wound they have suffered. Okay, not terrible. Not terrible. You are going to have a lot of models, so this could potentially have quite a bit of effect. Not bad. And here we come across the Necron tomb. Ooh, it's Ankra the Colossus. The Necron Overlord. It's a nice model. I quite like the Necron cape. If you're into Necrons. Ankra the Colossus, you're an Overlord with a Void Scythe. Cool. You don't need to know much more than that. Level 1. Impenetrable, much like my virginity. Add 1 to this model's toughness characteristic. Putting him at T6. Pretty tasty. Level 2, 106 points. Bloodthirsty. You can reroll any failed charge rolls you make for this model. I'm into that. Very nice. You're a slow model with only 5-inch move, you see there. And you've got a Void Scythe, which is only melee. You're going to be charging pretty hard. This gives you a reroll, which I believe puts your average charge distance up to 10 inches, I think. So that's pretty useful. Very nice. Don't quote me on that. I suck when it comes to maths. Level 326 points. Vengeful. Add 1 to wound rolls for this model's attacks in the fight phase if it suffered any wounds early in the battle round. Let's take a look at that. We've got 5 wounds with strength 5. So obviously this is contingent on you taking wounds first, which isn't a great idea. It's a nice bonus if you've taken the damage. And you do have living metal, so wounds aren't the end of the world. But it was 3-up save. I don't know. I mean, level 3, when it comes to the standard commander book, is when things tend to get pretty nice. That isn't great for me. Anyway, level 451 points. He's incredibly expensive now. Ancient Strategist. As long as this model is on the battlefield and not shaken, roll d6 each time the opponent uses a tactic. On a 5-up, you gain 1 CP. So I'm a fan of CP generation in any form. And I think that Necrons are starved for CP. I think they seriously need it to be an effective team. That said, for level 451 points, and it's only a 5-up, it's not an auto take, is all I'm saying, guys. Enduring Will, 2 command points. Necron Tactic. Use it at the start of the battle round if you have a commander on the board not shaken. Till the end of the battle round, reduce the damage that model suffers from each attack by 1 to a minimum of 1. Potentially very nice. However, it's 2 CP. You're activating this if you know you're about to get. Yeah. I'm not going to say that word. But, yeah. Vendetta. 1 CP. This is for your Overlord only now. When you first add an Overlord to your kill team or command roster, pick a faction keyword. Use this tactic when you pick an Overlord to fight in the fight phase. Reroll hit and wound rolls of 1 for that model's attacks when targeting enemy models with the faction keyword you chose for that Overlord. I like it. Yeah. Reroll hit and wound rolls for 1 CP. It's a must. And here we have Daboys, Gitzog, World Killer. Son of World Killer. Nah. They're green, they're mean, they're infested with cream. Okay, Gitzog World Killer. For anyone that hasn't seen this model, it's beautiful. It's a lovely model. I really love just how thick and chunky the Orc models are. It's a must buy. Gitzog World Killer, so they've given him a combi weapon with rocket launcher, because of course rocket launcher is exactly what you want on an Orc. An attack squig, power claw, stick bombs. Cool. They've given you Dead Hard, level 186 points. Add 1 to this model's toughness characteristic, putting him up to T6. Okay. Level 2, 106 points. Red Fangs Smells Ya. This model does not suffer penalties to its hit rolls due to its target being obscured. You're going to need that, but you only have 24-inch range still, 18 inches with the shooter, so you're still going to be hitting on 6s. Yep. So, not very useful. Level 3, 126 points. Crump in Time. Add 1 to this model's attacks characteristic in a battle round in which it charged. Give you a horrifying 5 attacks. Level 4, 151 points. Looter. If this model is in your kill team and not out of action when you make your casualty rolls, roll a d6. On a 5+, you gain 1 material. Yeah, fine. Cool. However, it's level 4. I don't really want to spend 25 points for that. I think if you were to run this guy, you're really only doing it in a mission where it's commander on commander, and you know you're going to be, you don't have to worry about taking lots of damage from more than a single source. That's my thoughts. For the Orcs Aura tactic, any commander can use it at the start of the battle round. It's 1 CP. As long as this model is not shaken, add 1 to the strength characteristic of friendly models that are within 3 inches. That's very nice. 3 inches is tiny. That's what my girlfriend says anyway. However, +1 to strength, you're going to give your normal boys strength 5. That's very nice. That's very nice. You will be wrecking Marines with strength 5. Then you get Breaking Heads. Warboss tactic, 1 CP. Use it at the start of any phase. Pick another friendly model within 3 inches of a Warboss from your kill team that is not shaken. That model suffers 1 mortal wound, and friendly models within 6 inches of the Warboss are no longer shaken. Remove their shaken tokens. Start of any phase, yeah, okay. You know, if you have a particularly bad shaken phase, leadership phase, this undoes it for a single mortal wound. It's not terrible. And you know what? You, in theory, should be having quite a few grots hanging around the board anyway. Very thematic. Don't know if I'll ever see it used. And then we have the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines, and Torvald Orks Bane. The Bane of Tyranids, actually. Poorly named. And you can't just change your name. They don't have deed polls in 40k. Anyway, moving on. That's the Primaris Librarian model. Torvald Orksbane, Primaris Librarian, bolt pistol, force sword, frag and crack grenades. At level 1 he's 81 points and he has Weirdborn. Add 1 to this model's psychic tests. Pretty useful, and for anyone that isn't aware, when it comes to potentially overloading, getting perils of the warp, that's not when you roll a 12, it's when you roll a double 6. So the actual number you end up rolling doesn't matter, it's purely a double 6 blows you up. If you roll 11 and get a +1 from this, you don't explode. Level 2, 101 points. Bane of Orks. Reroll hit rolls of 1 for this model in the fight phase. When targeting Orks models in the fight phase, reroll all failed hit rolls for this model in the fight phase instead. That's pretty nice. Rerolls of 1, unless it's Orks, in which case just rerolls. And you only got a weapon skill of 3 up, so you'll probably need that. Level 3, 121 points. The Icy Kiss of Fenris. Enemy models that suffer a mortal wound from a Psybolt manifested by this model are automatically shaken if they are not taken out of action. That's nasty. Now, you will have I believe, if I'm not misremembering the rules here. You will have an option to unshake them as soon as you later in that round, but it will stop them from potentially fighting or shooting. So yeah, very nasty. Very good. Level 4, 146 points, Trophy Hunter. If this model is in your kill team and not out of action after all casualty rolls have been made after a mission, roll a d6 each for each enemy specialist. This model will go out of action in that mission. If you roll a 5 up on any dice, you gain 1 morale. Nah. I mean, yeah, I know. The thing is, if I'm going to be taking a level 4, I don't want a campaign ability. I want him to be awesome and not die. So I'm generally against those when they just cost an extra 25 points, you know? This guy is someone to consider. I've got to say, that's not a bad... This is one of the better commanders I've seen. And then the two new tactics we get are, for 2 CP, Champion of Humanity, Adeptus Astartes Tactic. Use this when you choose a commander to fight in the fight phase. Choose hit or wound rolls. You can reroll all failed hit rolls of this or all failed rolls of this type you choose for that model's attacks that target enemy commanders until the end of the phase. Enemy commanders only. So your Primaris Librarian can choose to exchange Cybolt or any other power he knows for the Stormcaller psychic power. Stormcaller has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, then until the start of the next psychic phase, all friendly models within 6 inches of the psyker that are completely visible to the shooting model count as obscured instead. I suppose where that really comes into its own is if you are running an Adeptus Astartes melee team and you just want to charge straight towards the enemy. I don't know if it's a go-to tactic, but... And what's this? It's the Tau. Fireblade, Twin Flame. I will say one of the main things I don't like about Tau is their stupid names. Oh, but then I guess Drukhari have it as well. They'd be called like Ebon, Blade, Dagger, Flame, Mistress. Yeah. Anyway, here we have Chasnel Viola Atsumo Twin Flame. You get a Marker Pulse Rifle and a Photon Grenade. At level 1, 23 points, Art of Vashiva. Friendly models within 6 inches of this model, unless it is shaken, that use their For the Greater Good ability hit on rolls of 5 plus instead of only 6. For anybody that's watched the whole of this video, well done you, but also you'll remember me saying that I quite like the ability to upgrade your Overwatch. I think hitting on 5s instead of 6s is top notch. Level 2 for 28 points, Disciplined Defense. Your opponent must reroll hit rolls of 6 made for attacks that target this model in the fight phase. Cool. He's going to get wrecked if you get into melee, so that is useful, yes. Level 3, 43 points, Experienced Medic. Roll a d6 each time a friendly model within 3 inches of this model loses a wound. As long as this model is not shaken, on a 6, that wound is not lost. Don't get me wrong, having a 3-inch bubble around him for 0 CP is really nice. I'm going to give it that. Yes. However, I mean, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it. Are you ready? Yes, okay. I'll say it. If your plan is to roll 6s, you don't have a plan. Level 4, 63 points, Ever Hopeful. When a roll is made to determine whether or not the mission ends, if this model is on the battlefield and not shaken, you could choose for the player that made the roll to re-roll it. I mean, it's fun. It's 20 points. Again, I think although there's some interesting stuff here which you may want to take, I probably wouldn't go with this for him, to be honest. He's not bad, and I suppose if you're doing a very, very strict gun line, you might want him for both the level 1 talents and also the level 3 talent. Maybe that's a thing you could play with. However, again, when it comes to these guys, much like I feel for Astra Militarum, you probably want somebody that's boosting the rest of your guys a bit or giving you more CP to play with. And here we go, we get Inspiring Sacrifice, 0 command points. So let's pay attention to this one, 0 CP. Use this tactic when a commander from your kill team is taken out of action. You immediately gain D3 command points. This tactic costs no command points and does not trigger any abilities that allow you to gain command points. So, I mean, obviously, you use it when your commander dies. It's very nice. Voice of the Greater Good, 1 CP. This is specifically for the Cadra Fireblade. It's an aura tactic that you use at the start of the movement phase. As long as this model is not shaken, all friendly models within 6 inches of this model can use this model's leadership characteristic instead of their own. Give me leadership of 8. Yeah, when it comes to Tau, your leadership sucks. This is useful. And that is it for my commander rundown. The only one I have missed that has been released so far is unfortunately the Tyranids. I know everybody would have liked to have seen that. Tyranids are a popular faction. Unfortunately, I haven't seen it. And the one guy I play against that has Tyranids hasn't bought the commander. Not the best excuse, I realise, but there we go. Okay, everybody, this has been Glass Half Dead. I hope you've found this useful in some way. You probably haven't enjoyed it. That's not really the purpose of this video, is it? This was purely for knowledge. Okay, this has been Glass Half Dead. Hope you've all had a great day. Hope you continue to have a great day. It's Glass Half Dead, logging off.